The NFL has gotten used to overlooking the Detroit Lions from times past, but as we talk about the Lions in today's NFL, by overlooking us, they are continually having to pay for making the same mistake, and they just got another dose of it recently. We're going to talk about it, so stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10, 5, end zone, touchdown, Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, Detroit Lions friends and family members. Welcome on back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike. And as always, we're diving on in. My friends, I'm going to tell you this right now. For those of us that have been true Lions fans, and we've been with the team since the very beginning, for some of us, it's been 60 years, 70 years. For some of us, it's been about, as for me, almost 30 years. We have known the sting of being constantly overlooked because of any number of different factors. Whether it's because, the team itself is bad, we don't have ourselves a franchise quarterback, we don't have a good coach, we don't have good ownership. I mean, the list has been just absolutely ridiculous with a number of reasons as to why the Lions have not been considered anything serious for the last, 30, 40-something years. And when it comes to today's NFL, that's not exactly changed a whole lot. Now, let me clarify that and let me put that into the proper context and perspective that it needs to be in, so that way it doesn't sound like I'm being a little ridiculous. Most of the NFL has come to the realization that, yes, the Lions are a team that you will have to deal with, that they are a damn good team, and that they are a team that you absolutely cannot overlook when it comes to playing them. So in that part, no, the NFL does not overlook us anymore. But when it comes to stuff of a much more smaller individual nature, the Lions still continue to get overlooked. And I guarantee you this, it still has something to do with the stigma of, the historical perspective of what Detroit has been as far as a team and an organization. What exactly am I referring to here? I've said it before, I'll say it again. When it comes to the Detroit Lions, we simply do not get a whole hell of a lot of recognition when it comes to getting awards. And the simple reason for that is, one, Detroit is not a very large market in comparison to places like New York, Los Angeles, and other places like that. We have a nice large market, don't get me wrong, Detroit's a large market. But compared to the two places I just talked about, Los Angeles, New York, and other places, it doesn't quite compare. So from that perspective, we just don't have the market share to where we're going to get as much recognition. But also on top of that, considering our past history compared to teams that have been out in New York, like the Giants or the Jets or freaking the Rams or the Chargers or the freaking Raiders in times past, my whole point is this. Considering the Lions' history and the fact that we come from a smaller market compared to others, the Lions have often been overlooked for things when they shouldn't be. Let's just be fair and honest with ourselves. The Lions have had some pretty damn great players over the course of their, franchise's history. But yet the Lions, again, if I recall correctly from the time I made this episode, a little bit earlier, not this exact same episode, but on the same vein, I think the Lions over the course of their, actual, franchise history have only won 10 or 11 major awards from the NFL. And I'm talking MVP, Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, stuff like that. The Lions have been a franchise that's been around now for a pretty damn long time, almost 100 years. And yet we've only won 10 or 11 of those awards, whereas compared to other franchises, it's been absolutely ridiculous the amount of those awards they've been given. And in relation to this year, I'm talking about this from the perspective of the MVP award. Because honestly, for me, I think the Coach of the Year award should definitely go to freaking Dan Campbell. I don't care what anyone wants to say. Dan Campbell absolutely deserves the freaking Coach of the Year award for what he's been able to do with this franchise, what he's been able to do with this team. But when it comes to the MVP award, that has become an area of hotbed conversation and topic because ever since Jared Goff had his 5-interception game against the Texans, there have been people who have been openly trying to say that killed his ability to get the MVP trophy. And I remember when it happened, and I said it then, I say it now. You cannot base everything in a situation off of one damn game. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if we'd have just left that conversation at what had happened last week when Goff had that game, then yeah, you know what? That would have been it. But, oh, that's right. There were still 8 games afterwards that still had to be played. And, oh, that's right. We just had a game this weekend where the supposed 3 top candidates as far as the quarterbacks are concerned, they all played. Well, why is this important? Well, think about it. The Lions were coming into this game against the Jaguars, and I'll just say this, even though I knew it was ridiculous, and I'd say quite a number of people knew it was ridiculous, there were people that openly wondered whether or not this game was a trap game for the Lions because they wanted to say, oh, well, the Jaguars, they almost freaking beat, the freaking Vikings and made Sam Darnold look bad with 3 interceptions, and the Lions barely beat the Texans because Jared Goff threw 5 interceptions. So because of those two things combined, people wanted to say that somehow that the Lions could potentially get beat by the Jaguars and that they could lose this game that we just played. Which, let me tell you something, that was BS reasoning because it's like, listen, to try and throw Jared Goff and Sam Darnold in the same conversation is absolutely ludicrous. I don't give a damn if Sam Darnold's been having a great year this year. You take a look at his track record as an actual starter compared to the one great year he's having compared to what Goff has done over his career, that is a laughable notion. But what I find particularly funny is that, as we know, the Lions absolutely stomped an ever-living mud hole in the freaking Jaguars and beat them 52-6. It wasn't even a contest. It might as well have been us taking candy from a damn baby. But let's think about this. Like I said, had the conversation for the MVP literally ended right there on that game that we played for, last week, and all the stats that were there were going to be the stats that were going to be the basis of the MVP conversation, then yes, Goff would have not been in the MVP conversation anymore. But as I made the point last week, there were still 8 games to play. We just played one of those games. Well, wouldn't you know it, exactly what I had predicted was going to happen, happened no more than a week later. Again, I'm not trying to say I'm a savant. I'm not trying to say I can look into the future, but it's like, listen, just based off of simple logical reasoning and just the law of averages, I knew I was going to be right. I didn't think it was going to happen within literally a week, but I knew it was going to happen. Now, why exactly am I saying that? Well, let's think about this, folks. Let's take a look at what actually happened this week around the NFL in relation to these 3 gentlemen once again. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Jared Goff. Jared Goff had an absolutely great game against the Jaguars. He was 24 of 29 for 82.8 completion percentage, 412 yards, 14.2 an average a throw, 4 touchdowns to 0 interceptions, 158.3 passer rating with a 93.8 QBR. That's about as damn good of a game you're going to have because, number one, you have the perfect passer rating, which is not something that is easily achievable, number one. Number two, Jared Goff still, once again, for I think the 5th time this year, has thrown over 80% completion rate. He had over 400 passing yards, which I don't care even if we are in a pass-happy league, that's still damn hard to do. And he almost had a perfect QBR. He was literally 6 points away from having a perfect 100. So Jared Goff quite literally had as close to a perfect game across the board as a quarterback could possibly have. Well, wait a minute here. That was Goff against the Jaguars. Jaguars obviously were a crap team, but still, it's a professional team, and Goff absolutely handled it beautifully. Well, what about the other 2 yahoos? What about Lamar and freaking Josh Allen? Well, Lamar Jackson against the Steelers, a great pass defense, just like the Texans were last week against Jared Goff. Lamar Jackson was 16 of 33 for 48.5 completion percentage rate, 207 yards, 6.3 an average of throw, 1 pick to 1 touchdown, 66.1 passer rating with a 59.6 QBR. So, Lamar Jackson has a really bad game against a really good passing defense. Now, I will concede it's not 5 interceptions. But for a quarterback of Lamar Jackson's stature, of the fact that he's a prior 2-time MVP caliber, quarterback that's won the award, and he's supposed to be the front runner this year, it's like, listen, you should not be having those types of games if you want to be, what was the same argument used against Jared Goff? A front runner for the MVP. You shouldn't be having those types of games, especially considering the fact that, that's right, Lamar Jackson is considered a better quarterback because he's more mobile, he's more athletic, he has the ability to do more than Goff. So what exactly is Lamar Jackson's excuse? But then again, that's only Lamar. What about Josh Allen? Now, Josh Allen was able to beat the Chiefs. That was a pretty big game for him last night. But what was the stats in that game? Here's what they were. 27 of 40 for 67.5 completion percent, better than Lamar, definitely. 262 yards, again, better. 6.6 an average of throw, pretty much on the same playing field. 1 touchdown, 1 pick, exactly the same. 83.5 passer rating with an 82.8 QBR. So passer rating was definitely better, and the QBR was definitely better than Lamar Jackson. But virtually everything else, we're talking about roughly in the same ballpark. So Lamar Jackson had a very bad game against the Steelers and lost. Josh Allen had an okay game and beat the Chiefs, which was very good for him. But still, both of those guys played well below their standards. So, because they played well below their standards, does that now mean they're out of the MVP conversation? I know it wasn't 5 interceptions, but it's still well below their standard. Because when you take a look at what Goff did, that's MVP caliber. So when you have analysts from last week like Dan Orlovsky, Robert Griffin III, and all these other people that wanted to say, because of that game, that ended, Jared Goff's MVP case. That totally got rid of everything that he could possibly do as far as winning the MVP award. That's why I'm trying to say, the recency bias from last week absolutely was stupid. And again, I will say this right now. The recency bias for this week is also stupid. You cannot base an entire argument for an MVP award, which, that's right, last I checked, it's a season award. It's not a weekly award. There's a reason why we have Player of the Week. There's a reason we have Player of the Month. MVP is based off of a whole season's worth of production, not just one damn game. So yeah, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen had bad games this week. Even though Josh Allen won, Lamar Jackson lost. Jared Goff had a superb game this week, and he won in absolutely magnificent fashion. But none of those three should ever be based as far as the sole reason as to why a case could be made either for or against them winning the MVP award. Rather, if you're going to have this conversation, I said it's a season outlook award. Well, what are these quarterbacks doing as of right now? What are their season stats? This is where I have my fun. If you take a look at their season stats for all 3 quarterbacks, now we get into the conversation as to the way it should be. Let's take a look at Jared Goff, and obviously I'm going to have to do this with my paper. I don't know why this does this every often, but it absolutely annoys the ever-living hell out of me. Sometimes these papers like to freaking, roll up on themselves, and it just absolutely drives me nuts. But anyway, I fixed it. Take a look at Jared Goff's season stats as of right now after last night's game. Yesterday afternoon's game, pardon me. Jared Goff is 100 of 97, 270 in terms of completions and attempts, 72.9 completion percentage rate, which is second best, 2,492 yards, which is ninth best, 9.2 an average of throw, number 1, 20 passing touchdowns, which is fourth, 9 interceptions, and 112.2 passer rating, which is second. Goff has a 9-1 record, even though that's a team record, not a quarterback record, but still, that's how they're based on the whole thing for quarterbacks. Goff has 1 perfect passer rating game. He has 1 perfect completion percentage game. He has 5 80% or better completion percentage games. He has 5 125-plus passer rating games, and he has 7 100-plus passer rating games. That is Jared Goff's season statistics and outlook thus far, with 7 games remaining. That's pretty damn good. That's superb. What about Lamar Jackson as a quarterback? Lamar Jackson, he is 215 of 321, 66.9 completion percentage rate, that's ranked 14th. 2,876 yards, that's ranked number 2. 8.9 to throw, that's ranked 2. 25 touchdowns, that's ranked 2. 3 interceptions to a 117.3 passer rating, that's number 1. Lamar Jackson's record as a quarterback is 7-4 this year. He has 1 perfect passer rating game. He has 2 games of 80-plus completion percentage. He has 5 games of 125 passer rating and 8 games of 100-plus passer rating. That also, let me put that out there for the context, Lamar Jackson has played 1 game more than Jared Goff so far because the Ravens have not yet had their bye week. So let's keep that in perspective when we're having this conversation. Then we get to the last quarterback, the Buffalo Bills' Josh Allen. How's his stats so far this year? Josh Allen is 217 for 339, which is for 64 completion percentage rate, which is ranked 24th. 2,543 yards, which is ranked 7th. 7.5 an average a throw, which is tied 11th. 18 touchdowns, which is ranked 6th to 5 interceptions. 98.2 passer rating, which is ranked 12th. He's got a 9-2 record. Again, has played 1 game more than Jared Goff because they have not had their bye week yet. And what are his accomplishments as far as all those other numbers? He only has 2 125-plus passer rating games and 6 100-plus passer rating games. He is the least accomplished statistically out of all the quarterbacks. So think about this, folks. The MVP is a season accomplishment-based award. Jared Goff has the best record out of all the quarterbacks. Jared Goff has the best statistical output as far as all of them put together, because think about this. Jared Goff, every single statistical output that's measured, it's all top 10. Every single one of them's top 10 because he's got 2, 9, 1, 4, and 2. Lamar Jackson has one that's outside of top 10, ranked 14th. Josh Allen has multiple. Jared Goff has the better statistics as far as all the major accomplishments. He has a perfect passer rating game. He has a perfect completion percentage game. He has 5 80% completion games. He has 5 125-plus passer rating games. He has 7 100-plus passer rating games. When you take a look at all of the individual statistics and accomplishments this year, it's a no contest. Jared Goff is the MVP. I don't give a damn if you want to say that Lamar Jackson's more athletic, he's got the rushing yards and all this other nonsense. For all the freaking talent and all the other extra rushing yards he has, why then are the Baltimore Ravens 7-4 and that's right, they're second in their division. And on top of that, they're not anywhere even close to the freaking number 1 ranked team as far as record in their own conference. But wait a minute here. The Lions have the number 1 record not only in the NFC, but they also have the number 1 record in the NFL right now. Because, that's right, the Lions, they're 9-1 just like the Chiefs. But let's think about this. The Lions, they only lost 1 game as far as the Bucs are concerned. Which, yeah, that's a conference game. But at this point, the Bills, even though they're 9-2 to the Chiefs 9-1, the Bills have a tiebreaker with the Chiefs. So technically, the Lions have the edge. And again, if you were to go to NFL stats and NFL standings and all that nonsense, the number 1 team in terms of winning percentage, it's not the Chiefs, it's the Lions. And that's because of that said tiebreaker I just brought up. So Goff has the number 1 team in both record in NFC and NFL. He has the best overall culmination of stats. He has the most accomplishments this year of any quarterback as far as throwing the ball. So please tell me then why in the hell Goff is not being the front runner for the MVP conversation. 1 bad game of 5 interceptions, as I said, is not the basis as to why a quarterback should or should not be in the conversation. It's based off of a whole season's worth of production. And I'm going to put this out there very bluntly for everybody that wants to argue this. There is not a single damn quarterback this year that has played much better than Jared Goff on any freaking level. I don't care what you want to say. The stats back me up. The freaking numbers back me up as far as the analytics. And if you just watch damn football, it backs me up. It's that damn simple. But anyway, I've made my point. Try and argue it as you dare, but you ain't going to win. So having said that, I'm going to end this episode and say thank you all for watching yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, I highly encourage y'all to watch the next episode. Also encourage y'all to do one of these three things: like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed in the past and you also have not yet done this, please, I want to encourage y'all to subscribe, but also make sure you hit that bell notification icon so that way you guys never miss any more content I push out. Also encourage y'all, please, to share the content with your Lions friends and family members. Share it here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you possibly can, because the more we can do that, the greater the channel can grow and spread, and we bring in new content viewership. Also, I just want to say to everybody, whether you've been a long-time viewer or this is the first time you're viewing me, I hope y'all liked the content. I hope y'all got something out of it that was fun and educational for y'all. And I also hope that everybody has got something in their life that makes them happy and makes them smile. God bless, my friends, and until the next time we meet, I'll see you all in the next episode.